This meeting will now come to order. Christy, would you do the roll call for us?
Mr. Breaux.
Here.
Mr. Green. Here. Mrs. Hanson. Here. Mrs. Rutherford. Here. Mrs. Fauntleroy. Here. Mr. Harrell. Here. Mrs. Martin. Here. Mrs. Moore. Here. Dr. Peterson.
Here.
Mrs. Baker. Mrs. McCullum. Here. Mrs. Lammy. Here. Ms. Hurstis. Here. Mr. Kuzan. Here. Mrs. Rufino Gallagher.
Okay, let's do the invocation and pledge. Ms. Lammy, would you lead us?
Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us here today safely. I pray your hedge of protection over all of us, over our students, teachers, faculty, and staff around each and every school in our district and beyond. We thank you for our time together tonight. We pray that you will lead us and guide us, that we will listen with open minds and open hearts, that we will speak with respect and kindness to each other. Please help us to make wise choices for our students and our staff. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, does anyone here have visitors that they would like to recognize?
No, but I have a little announcement, and I was told it was okay to make it.
Just a second, let's go through. Do we have any visitors? Howard.
Thank you, President Breaux. He's not in the audience right now, but I had the opportunity of visiting with one of my favorite high school teachers, and come to find out, he not only taught me, but he also taught Mr. Jabia, Mr. Bernard. So we saw him at Fountain Blue High School the other day at the softball playoff game. So it was good seeing him, catching up, and just want to tell him hello and good seeing him.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have visitors? Ms. Moore, would you like to make some announcements?
I would. I want to tell everyone that Bayou Lacombe is celebrating Earth Day, which is this Saturday, the 22nd, and it's from 9 to 5. It's all free. They have a band at the rec center from 3 to 5 and a DJ before that, but a lot of very good exhibits. The beekeeper, a lot of things about recycling. We have the composting. So please, if you've got, I know there's a lot going on between JS Fest and the garden show at the fairgrounds, but Bayou Lacombe, free, right off of, on St. Mary's Street, right off of 190. Thank you.
Ms. Hurstis?
I just want to recognize everyone. Thank you so much for this lovely attendance in Slidell location. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Jabia, do you have a superintendent update for us?
Yes, sir. I just want to welcome everybody back. I hope everybody had a wonderful Easter, and we're headed down the home stretch with about 4 weeks to go. So just want to wish everyone the very best, and thanks for all you do. Yesterday, I was able to attend the Student of the Year Awards in Baton Rouge, and Andrew, Austin, and Owen did such an amazing job. 3 amazing kids. Again, they were 3 of 24 that were invited to Baton Rouge as finalists, and they represent, as the department told us, 685,000 students across the state of Louisiana, and we had 3 of the 24 there. So just tremendous honor, and again, Andrew, Owen, and Austin did a tremendous job of representing this district and showing what St. Tammany Parish is all about. So I want to tell them and their parents and their administrators, faculty and staff, their schools, thank you so much. Next week, my team will be sitting down with the Federation and Mr. Osborne to do our annual reopener. So we're looking forward to doing that next week. And board members, I will report back to you at the appropriate time so that we can move forward and take some action as regard to the contract for next school year. I also want to wish everyone the very best of luck. We've started and kind of kicked off LEAP testing at some of the high schools, but next week is a big LEAP testing week. And I just want to encourage, students, you not only represent yourselves, you not only represent your families, but you also represent the faculty and staff, and these teachers work so hard every day, and they are judged by the outcomes of these LEAP tests. So I just want to encourage everyone and every parent, please talk with your child and just do your very best We appreciate all the hard work that goes in, but the teachers have done so much to get us to this point. It's been such an amazing year. So I just hope for the best outcomes possible for the schools and for the faculty and staff, and we appreciate all that they do. Also want to remind the board members that we kick off graduation on May the 3rd with Pearl River High School. Remember, we are back at Southeastern. It is everyone's invited. There are no invitation. It is open to anyone in the public. Every graduation is that way. The best part of Southeastern is no bad seat in the entire house. It's a great place, and the students have such a great time. So we will kick that off with 8 graduations in 6 days. So it is, anybody wants to come hang out with me all day Saturday, I'll be there from open to close Saturday, but it's a great day. We look forward to that day, seeing the seniors and watching their smiles come across that stage and knowing their whole future's in front of them is a great day. So just want to wish everybody the very best. Our seniors are taking exams right now, and just looking forward to seeing them and their families at graduation and celebrating with them. So thank you all very much. I appreciate the time tonight.
Do we have any questions regarding the update from the board members? Okay. We will move on to a school lunch hero proclamation. Ms. Fauntleroy?
Thank you, Mr. Bro. Whereas nutritious meals at school are an essential part of the school day, and whereas the staff of the district school meals and nutrition department are committed to providing healthy, nutritious meals to the district's children, and whereas the men and women who prepare and serve school meals help nurture our children through their daily interaction and support, and whereas the day of Friday, May 5th, 2023 is School Lunch Hero Day, now therefore be it resolved that the St. Tammany Parish School District expresses its deep appreciation to these valuable employees and commends their good work on behalf of the children. Be it further resolved that this proclamation be spread upon the official minutes of this board, with copies being sent to each school principal, cafeteria manager, and to Mrs. Montz as a testimonial of this board's recognition of their outstanding endeavors. And I personally want to thank one superhero in our department that I know is retiring this year, Ms. Cherie Sharp. I was at Lee Road for 18 years. I dealt with her. She's assistant to the food services director, and I dealt with her for many years. She very knowledgeable, always professional, and just a great lady to work with. And I know she is retiring this year, so I'm sure we'll miss her. But she'll be my superhero next Friday.
So Ms. Fauntleroy has made a motion to accept this proclamation. I would like to make a unanimous second.
Yes.
And do we have to vote on it? Yes. Any comments from the public? If not, any comments from the board? No? Okay, let's vote.
Oh, do we vote?
I'm in the wrong meeting.
I'm going to guess you're voting yea.
Put me as voting yea. How come it's not shutting up? Okay. Okay. We now move on to Louisiana Thespian Festival winner recognition, and I would ask Mr. Gallagher to come up to the podium.
Thank you, Board President Bro, Superintendent Jabbia, rest of the school board members, supervisors, and assistant superintendents. In just a second, I'm going to invite our talented theater teacher at North Shore High School, Ms. Cara Dufo, to formally introduce these two young ladies and their accomplishments from earlier this school year at the Louisiana Thespian Festival. I just want to take this opportunity. One of the wonderful things about being in St. Tammany Parish is that it is such a close-knit community, and I have a personal connection. My own daughter's interests align with both of these young ladies, and I've had the opportunity to see them interact with, and I get a little emotional. I just get an opportunity to see them interact with my own daughter outside of school campus, who is significantly younger than they are, and they are not only talented, which they're being recognized for today. They are incredible young women who are great stewards and citizens in our community. So I'm so excited that we get to recognize them formally. So I'm going to have Ms. Cara Dufo come up and formally recognize them now.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having me and having these girls here. In January, we went to Louisiana Thespian Festival, which is held annually in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And both of these girls competed in the musical theater solo category in performance. They both scored superior ratings, and Carly Burris and Avery Burgoyne are both of them, and Carly Burris also won first place in the state in musical theater performance, and she also got the first place scholarship award in the state from that same convention, so we are very proud of them. It is my first year at North Shore High School, and I could not have asked for two better individuals to represent our school and our community, and I'm just so proud that I got to be their teacher through all of this, and I just know they're going to do great things in their future, so welcome.
Thank y'all so much. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Any comments from the board? Ms. Hanson?
I can't help but comment when they talk about the arts. You said that, we're lucky in St. Tammany, we have such a tight-knit community, and we do. But I also believe one of the reasons why we're very fortunate is because we do support the arts. And for those students who get into the talented program, whether it's theater, music, or visual art, those students learn far more than what just someone may realize what theater and music and art is, and prepares them greatly for post-secondary training. So congratulations to you girls. Good luck in nationals, and thank you for representing North Shore High School and St. Tammany Parish so well.
Okay, but go ahead, Ms. Michelle.
I'm just surprised Mr. Gallagher didn't say it, so I'm going to go ahead and say it and say go Panthers. Great job, ladies.
Any other comments? All right. I'd like to change the agenda a little bit and go straight to the consent agenda so that we can get that out of the way before we go into the regular business of the meeting. So I will ask the board members, is there anyone who wants to remove any of the items from the consent agenda at this time? Seeing none, I will read through the consent agenda. Approval of minutes for the special meeting held March 9th, 2023. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting held March 9th, 2023. Approval of minutes for the special meeting held March 22nd, 2023. Approval of minutes for the retreat held March 29th, 2023. Recommends acceptance of revision to school board policy BCBI, public participation in school board meetings. Recommends acceptance of the low base bid submitted by Steel R Development LLC in the amount of $528,000 for the visitor side restroom and concessions building at North Shore High School. Recommends acceptance of the low base bid alternate number 1 and alternate number 2 submitted by LA Contracting Enterprise LLC in the amount of $1,279,000 for the driveway access from Gladys Road at Madisonville Elementary School. Recommends acceptance of the low base bid and alternate number 1 submitted by Ashley Smith Construction LLC in the amount of $422,460 for the visitor side restroom and concession building at Fontainebleau High School. Recommends acceptance of the low base bid and alternate number 1 submitted by Brunt Construction Incorporated in the amount of $577,600 for field house renovation for additional locker room area at Slidell High. And that's it. So do I have any comments from the public? All right, board members, do you have anything you'd like to remove from the consent agenda at this time? Sure. Sure.
I'm not really sure who the question is directed towards, but probably the construction department. For example, we'll use the visitor side restroom at North Shore High School. It's $528,000. What happened at some point, because many projects go over budget, at what point does it come back to the board to say, hey, we're now going to need to spend another $250,000 because something changed? Like at what point? Because I've seen a lot of bids like that we picked the low bid, but then by the time the project is over, we've spent way more than the low bid was at. So at what point does it come back to the board? Since we have to approve it, do we say, yes, we agree to you pay $528,000 for the bathroom? At what point does it come back to us if you're like 10% over will be approved, 20% over will be approved? Does it ever come back to us?
So change orders that occur on projects are not uncommon. I mean, there's not a perfect set of construction documents. And we look at all changes that are submitted, go through a review process with architects and engineers. They go through a review process in our office before they're recommended. Many times they go back for revisions or questions to be clarified. There are only change orders that relate to unforeseen conditions or changes that are found that are needed to be made in the field for various reasons. Occasionally something's found that needs to be added. Occasionally there are deletions and there are credits. So that's a commonplace thing that happens. And I think you'll find that the percentage of change order amounts on our projects are not out of line with what's typical in the industry. There are requirements within the law for the amounts of change orders relative to construction amounts as to when they have to be filed at the clerk of court's office, and we follow all those laws. We report in the monthly report the change orders so that you can see what's included.
Right, but at no point does it come back to us, like if the change order happens to be 10% over, 20% over of what we voted for so like, let's just say North Shore's bathroom, $528,000. If it goes higher than 20%, do you ever have to come back to the board to be like, hey, this is the reason we have to go over, or do y'all just go until the project's finished?
I don't think we've had a situation like that, and we certainly would review that with Superintendent if he saw fit or needed to bring that to the board or to your attention. We could certainly do that. There's not a requirement for that.
That's what I was at. Okay,
yes,
thank
ma'am.
you.
Before we get any more comments, I need to have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda. I know, but we shouldn't be discussing. I understand, and we have more discussion, but I just wanted the motion to, okay, Mr. Kuzan. Okay, Ms. Hurstis, you have more comments?
I was just going to see, do we have to make a policy then, to add a policy that after every project that it comes back to the board for review, that we can go over each project? Like what we agreed on for the bid and then what the final result was?
That would be correct. If the board feels that a policy is necessary, we can address that at some point in the future.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No other comments, and nobody wants to remove anything from the agenda? Well, we will now vote on the consent agenda. Those who wish to leave at this time before we get deep into business are free to go and celebrate. All right, that motion passes unanimously. All right, now we'll get to the business section. Agenda items. Item A, to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution authorizing the advertising for electronic bids for the purchase of $35 million of general obligation school bonds, Series 2023, of St. Tammany Parish-wide School District Number 12 of the Parish of St. Tammany, State of Louisiana. And Ms. Hanson and Ms. Moore. All right, do we have any discussion from the public? Do we have any comments from the board members? Okay, we will now vote. That motion is approved unanimously. To go with that, we have item B, to consider and take action with respect to adopting resolution authorizing the incurring of debt and issuance of $35 million of general obligation school bonds, Series 2023 of St. Tammany Parish-wide School District Number 12 of the Parish of St. Tammany, State of Louisiana. Do we have any discussion from the floor? From the public? Seeing none? Any comments from board members? Oh, would anyone want to make a motion to approve this? Isabel and Matt seconded it. All right, it's been motioned and seconded. I will again ask for public comment. Seeing none. Any comment from the board? Seeing none. Let's go ahead and vote. I work with an Isabel more, so I get confused sometimes.
When I do something bad, call me out.
That motion is approved unanimously. Item C, recommends acceptance of a memorandum of understanding with the Federation for incentives for fiscal year 2023-2024, and I'll ask Mr. Alfonso to explain this in detail.
Yes, thank you, President Bro, Superintendent Javier, and Board. What you have before you we presented is a memorandum of understanding between Superintendent Javier and his staff and Mr. Osborne and his team at the Federation. Basically, what you see is basically the same incentives that we had last year. But I just want to clarify something to you that the only people that will get, like our current employees, for example, that will receive the 2 steps for going into SWE or SWE certified, their steps already built into their salary, so they won't receive that again. So that's ongoing for them. Now, the only thing that will happen annually is if a teacher teaches in a CIR or UIN school, urgent intervention school, teaches in a critical shortage area, or another annual is the performance bonus of $1,000, the effectiveness stipend. But everything else is the same as last year. Also, I just want to point out that we came to an understanding with the Federation that Mr. Osborne agreed that it's up to the superintendent to incentivize new teachers. So in this package you see in front of you, new teachers are not addressed. But I'd like to say that what we plan on doing is a new teacher that comes into the system, say if they have no experience fresh out of college, we'll start them at pay level 2. So if you have any questions relative to this MOU, I'm here to answer any questions. And also Ms. Prevost can help me clarify anything monetarily.
And it's my understanding that if last year when we gave incentives to teachers who had a master's degree or a PhD, that was a one-time occurrence. But if some teacher or staff acquired a higher degree during the year, they would be eligible for the increase in pay.
Yes, sir. If they acquired it this year, yes, sir.
Right, and the same with if they went into a SWE program, even though, well, they get it every year, so.
If a teacher transfers from regular ed to SWE this year, they will get the additional 2 steps added to their salary.
Right, so I just want to make that clear that we will accommodate the people who are moving into those positions.
Yes, sir.
Fresh.
And I just want to point out also that, the LDOE declares critical shortage areas, which is the high-level math, science, ELA, and they do SWE, which is special ed, and they, not including gifted. If you look at our critical shortage areas, which we are incentivizing for, it's expanded much in depth. We have, it's on the flyers that you had before, and I have them here. I could say them all, but we go a little deeper than the LDOE does. because we have a different need.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments from the public? Oh, well, we need a motion. Does anyone want to approve this? I will move that we approve the recommendation. Seconded by Mr. Green. All right, are there any comments from the public? Any comments from the board?
I just have one. In the bottom, where it says, all school board employees will be eligible for an employee salary reserve fund stipend if the following occurs. It's after the books are closed. So when would this stipend happen? Because it says a one-time equal stipend will be calculated for employees that were active employees as of June 30th, 2023.
It would be, it's November 15, like it was this past year. It's in line 5.
So the books close,
The books
Right,
close
but-
August 31st.
but the stipend doesn't appear until November.
Right, but line 3 is talking about something, it's got June 30th and then November 1st. I'm just trying to figure out what the difference
That's
is.
the criteria. You have to be employed as of June 30 of 2023.
Okay.
And you still have to be employed as of November 1st to receive it.
To receive
So
it.
anybody that would retire, unfortunately, would
got
not get it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. That motion is approved unanimously.
Mr. Broad, I'd like to say something relative to the MOU also. Since you guys have proved it, you'll see an aggressive advertising campaign with those flyers you had at your desk 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, with Meredith and her staff. We're going to be very aggressive leading up to job fair. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that.
And also, I want to thank Mr. Osborne. He really came to the table and worked with us to get this pushed through very quickly. So thank you, Brad. I appreciate that.
I think it's the desire of the board that we remain very competitive with surrounding parishes. And that should help our recruitment, and that's why we're doing this and whatever we can to help the teachers and the staff and the bus drivers so that we can fill the roles we need and compete with surrounding parishes.
Yes, sir. And just for job fair purposes, we are creeping to almost 600 people that will be invited. So the numbers are moving forward.
Thank you. Okay, we now come to the appropriate retirement resolutions for the following employee support services personnel subsequent to March 9th, 2023. Ms. Alfonso.
Thank you, President Bro, Superintendent Jabby, and Board. Appropriate retirement resolution on the following employee support services personnel subsequent to the March 9th, 2023 meeting. Lloyd J. Bowers, Fontainebleau High, 10.06 years, all in St. Tammany Parish. Jeanette M. Reyes, Lyon Elementary, 17.4 years, all in St. Tammany Parish. Elaine O. Honeycutt, Madisonville Elementary, 22.66 years, all in St. Tammany Parish. And Beverly Bolton, Pitcher Junior High, 10.18 years, all in St. Tammany Parish.
Ms. Lamy, you move. Second it. Isabel Moore. Okay, we had no retirees from the what is it?
Certificated?
Certificated?
No, sir, no retirees from certificated end.
That's a good thing.
Positive.
All right, we're now, any discussion from the public? Any comments from the board? Let's go ahead and vote. And that passes unanimously. All right, so we come to the next item on the agenda, librarian support. I believe Mr. Carlo has a presentation for us.
Good evening, President Bro, board members, Superintendent Javia, and the guests that are here on our east side. Tonight, I'm going to be providing you with some information related to the changing roles of librarians within our district. Our 21st century libraries are exciting places to be because 21st century librarians collaborate to empower students in becoming lifelong learners. The primary purpose of a school library program is to help students and staff develop the ability to use ideas and information effectively while encouraging them to think critically, research skillfully, use information ethically, and also to read enthusiastically. The traditional role of a school librarian has definitely changed. New technology and changing expectations have caused librarians to reimagine how they support students and teaching in our technology-rich environments. One role of a librarian is that of a teacher and instructional planner. In this role, the librarian assists in advancing the instructional goal of the school by collaborating with classroom teachers to enrich lesson activities that are connected to our academic standards. Librarians are classified as teachers with a job description that is specific to them, and librarians do not assign grades. Another role of that is also an information or media specialist. In this role, the librarian uses technology tools to supplement school resources and assist in the creation of engaging learning tasks connected to information literacy. As the collection developer, the librarian develops up-to-date print and digital materials and facilitates their uses. Also, some of the other duties that may be assigned include, within our district, to assist with Chromebooks, check out and check in. There's some Chromebook maintenance, and there is also some tickets that are sent to IT with regards to Chromebooks. Some of our librarians also serve as textbook coordinators, in which they do assist with the checking out and checking in of books through our Destiny program. We also have librarians that do assist with teaching the digital citizenship lessons. So in our schools, though, where the librarians are not assigned the duties of Chromebooks or textbook coordinators, then many times our technology resource teachers, as well as our administrators, assume these responsibilities. We also have classroom teachers who do assist with the teaching of some of the digital citizenship lessons. We know that everyone is needed to be involved in our schools and definitely to work hard together. As you can see here within our system, we have 48 librarians that are employed. Of those 48, we have 7 librarians that service 2 schools and 1 librarian that does service 3 schools. Of those 8 librarians, 2 would travel to more than 1 school in a day. We have a total of 7 library aides, and our librarians that service our elementary and middle schools, they could service up to 10 classes a day. That would be on a 30-minute rotation. In our junior highs and high schools, those librarians have what's called flexible scheduling, which means that they do not have the assigned classes that come in on a regular basis. Our librarians do receive the plan and minutes as regular education teachers do, and we also do allocate shelving time to those librarians into their schedules. So as you know, the school libraries and the role of the school librarian have and will continue to evolve to meet the ever-changing needs of the students. So this does conclude my information about the changing role of a librarian.
Thank you.
welcome.
All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion from Ms. Isabel Moore.
Speaker on. And I do appreciate Mr. Collar has been very, very helpful with all of the information. Unfortunately, our librarians, it seems like every school has a different definition of what a librarian is supposed to do. So a lot of our librarians are taking on a lot of jobs that are more, I don't want to say secretarial, but they are more of, they're not due to, with their degree. The Chromebooks, the textbooks and things. And we're very below where we're supposed to be as far as Bulletin 741 for our parish, as far as how many librarians we have. We only have 10 schools that meet the recommended allotment for librarians in our parish. The rest have some kind of deficiency, whether it's the amount of librarians or what paras that are going in there. What I would like to suggest to give the librarians, because I do not want to have any more impact on, we talked about hiring people, is to hire paratechs to relieve our school librarians of clerical duties and other obligations outside of their job description. I've spoken with Ms. Provost and to put in 25 library techs, which is a para that does not have to have a para as far as being around students. It would be $700,000. Now, to fulfill our obligations to have librarians in all of our schools, it would be $1,430,000, close to that. Obviously, that's out of the question. But I think we need to show our librarians that we support them and what they're doing as far as giving our students a real library, a love of books, a love of different genres, what's going on, and we're failing our students with that. 30 minutes, by the time you get a child in a class and get out, you really get 20 minutes of educational time. So it's taken its toll on our librarians, and unfortunately, I don't want to, that's what's said, I don't want to take away from our teachers, because I know we're short, but I think paratechs would be a way to help eliminate that. Our librarians have to vent all of the books that go through the library, and we know what's been happening in our parish as far as the libraries. So we want to make sure what we put in our libraries is vital material that's going to be approved by a couple of librarians, not just one person making a decision. And I think we only get, what, $5.25 per child per year to buy library books. It's not a lot. So it's difficult. But again, I think this proposal would show the librarians that we are supporting them and that we want them to be teaching our students. If you look at the librarian's job description, it shows mostly the fact that facilitate lessons, help students engage in the love of reading, the love of books, and to, just like I said, have the students want to be in a library and want to be reading, especially in the elementary grades. That's my proposal.
So if I can rephrase the motion.
Yeah, please.
The motion is, what do you have? Go ahead.
Just to hire 25 paratechs to assist the librarians in our system.
Exactly. So that's the motion. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Ms. Lemmy. All right. So is there any discussion on this motion from the public? Mr. Osborne.
I do appreciate this getting on the agenda. We started back in the fall. We've tried to have action committees for every group that's motivated to advocate for themselves for change. And boy, librarians are motivated people. They're very organized and they're very passionate about what they do. I certainly am passionate about libraries. As a kid coming through the system, that's where I developed a love for reading. And at the high school level, it was kind of a haven, safe haven for me. And, you know, maybe read a little bit too much Stephen King, you know, that sort of thing, but that was my escape. And so anything we can do to kind of recapture what classically libraries should be, because I don't necessarily think all these changes are needed. I do think this Paratech idea is a good one. I think they need help, but also we might need to rethink how we're doing these Chromebooks. Some districts don't store them every single year at the end. That's an enormous labor to store and give out that blessing and curse of this new technology. So just something to consider. I certainly support the motion. I think it's a great step forward. It will help relieve, but I think there's a lot of other things we'll look at as well. And maybe, you know, Mr. Bouillon could talk to my library committee and see if we can come up with some kind of compromise on Chromebooks. But that would be my comments. Thank you, Ms. Moore, for bringing that motion.
Any other comments from the public? We'll open it up for discussion with the board members. Mr. Peterson, Dr. Peterson.
Cue's up.
Oh, there's a queue.
I got queue up, huh? Still me.
Ms. Lamy.
Working on that. I'm working on that. Thank you for bringing this up, Ms. Moore. I think it's a great idea. I do just want to emphasize that I think it's extremely important that we develop a job description for paratechs. And I know that we want to give principals autonomy to like be involved in that, but it's really critical, as everyone's mentioned, that the librarians are able to be teachers. We need them to be teachers. We need the ELA reinforcement. We need the lessons that don't necessarily fit in the classroom, but students still need to get. And so I think it's super important that we are very specific about which things we're taking off of their plate so that we allow the time for them to actually teach the classes. So I just want to, because hiring them is great, but if we don't give them the assigned duties that are the administrative tasks of checking in, checking out, you know, textbooks and doing the tickets for Chromebooks or doing the problems, and somebody uses them a different way, we're going to still be back here. So I just think that's real important to consider as well. That's it. Thank you.
All right, before we go on, I'd like to get a comment from the administration, specifically Terry, on what this would cost us and whether it can be done.
Okay, so we're talking about paratechs, not library aides.
Correct.
Okay, so you had your cost, you gave the library aide cost. So to hire 25 paratechs would be $1.1 million.
Okay.
It's a little more expensive.
Well, could library techs do it? Library aides do it.
I'm a finance person, I could tell you that.
We're talking about basically clerical duty to check in.
I don't see why
Chromebooks.
not, because you have bookkeepers doing it, some bookkeepers at schools are doing it, some secretaries.
Because
Lewis can
it
speak on that.
doesn't make sense to pay a librarian's salary to do clerical work.
Right, all the Chromebook tickets from July 1 to April 5th of this year, the TRTs put in 40% of those calls, teachers put in 20% of those calls, librarians put in 14% of those calls, secretaries put in 10% of those calls, principals and assistant principals put in 9% of those calls, paratechs put in 4%, Title I paras put in 2%, and then instructional coaches put in 1%. So that's where the calls are coming from. So it varies school to school as to who's putting in who's handling the Chromebooks, and it's usually the person that also handles the textbooks. Just FYI, we have a vacancy we have 17 paratechs currently already in the schools. They support not so much the Chromebooks, but they support the desktops that are still in our schools. We have a perpetual ad that's out there. We had 19 applications. We just called all 19. 3 showed up for 1 position. So we're going to have an issue trying to find 25 to fill any position. And that's an outstanding job. We already have a job description for the paratechs that's out there.
Well, we're still getting information from the administration. So
The TRTs, the majority of the calls and the check-in, check-outs are handled by the TRTs as far as Chromebooks. Or resource helping teacher,
We
TRT.
have Chromebook coordination and textbook coordination, and you're saying, well, textbook we hadn't talked about.
It's the same principle. Basically, they're scanning a barcode on the Chromebook and either handing it out or checking it in. And if it's damaged, they flag it as damaged, and we pick it up and bring it back to IT. Or they can power wash it, but so can a student. A student can power wash it as well, which takes all of 30 seconds. But the vast majority, they flag a Chromebook for repair, we pick it up, and we move it to IT for repair. The inefficiency is I have 2 techs that rotate all schools to pick up Chromebooks. They're not handling IT activities, they're just picking up Chromebooks and moving them back and forth. So
you could benefit from more paratechs as well.
well, the paratechs aren't really handling the Chromebooks. They can't do anything to them other than flag them. My benefit would be somebody that could accumulate those Chromebooks and get them back to me, so almost like a courier. Because the school cannot repair the Chromebook. We have to repair it. We have to either change a part, or we have to ship it off to be repaired.
We're talking about librarians, but I'm trying to get, right now, the proposal is for 25 paratechs, correct?
And I will also
hire 25 paratechs to aid in offloading duties for librarians, whether it's Chromebooks, check-ins, or textbook coordination. We'd like librarians who are getting paid much more to do librarian work, not to be responsible for clerical work.
Yeah, and I will add, we have 17 paratechs in the district right now, and we have 17 computer techs in the district right now. The paratechs have completed, since the start of this school year, about 8,000 calls, and our computer techs have completed 24,000 calls. So our computer techs are completing 3 times the volume that the current paratechs are.
Okay. So basically, Terry, what's the dollar figure we're looking at?
For 25 paratechs, the average salary plus benefits is $45,000, so you're talking about $1.1 million. That I assume you mean to put in next year's budget.
Is that library techs?
No, that's
paratechs.
paratechs. Now,
That's
if
paratechs.
you want aides, that's $700,000 for 25.
So aides are cheaper.
Yes.
Aides are cheaper, so could we rephrase, would you like to make that library aides or paratechs?
Yeah, we have a motion on.
We have the motion, do you want to amend your motion
Yes.
to
Yeah.
library aides?
I want to table the whole thing. We need more information.
Because there's supposed to be one in every library anyway, so we would just be. Yeah, we got to let everybody speak.
Who seconded the motion? Do you concur with the change of the motion to read aides? Library, so we're talking library aides, 25 library aides. That's the motion. So we will start again at the beginning of our queue.
Wait, can I just say that?
Ms. Lamy?
No. Okay. Well, what do you think?
That are not teacher specific or library specific, that some libraries and some schools could have on them. And I know we just talked about the Chromebooks. Some of the lists, some of the things that I got before was checkouts via Destiny, check-ins via Destiny, troubleshooting, tickets, fine payment entry, fine payment collection, inventory, JPS permissions, insurance, paperwork entry, collections, insurance, payments, and entry in JPS. All bookkeeping, summer shutdown, and cleaning and storage. So all of those things are things that have been added, that while I do agree that it's evolved and that they do need to have these media specialists and yeah, I'll use my teacher voice, so sorry. While I do believe that, that they need to evolve, and just like teachers have tons more on their plates than we used to have as educators, it's part of education. But when you're taking a job class that's a certified educator of ELA and library science, and then you're all of a sudden, they're the tech pro, they're problem solving, they're checking in, checking out, inventorying. It's like signing up to work on a, do you know what I'm saying? It's a totally different aspect. Like it's just something, it's just piled on, piled on. And a lot of the librarians that I've spoken to, more than asking for help, a lot of them are applying for other jobs, for TRT positions, for classroom teachers. They're just trying to move, and we don't want to do that. We don't have enough as it is, and it's an important role. So I don't know the complete answer. Hiring that many people at one time, not having people to be able to apply, I see all those things, but we have to do something to give them aid, whether it's talk with administration and see if certain jobs can go to other people, whether it's hiring a certain number of paratechs that switch between two schools, maybe based on numbers. You know, we have some really small schools and we have some big schools. Maybe like for Chromebooks, do people just come to the library all day long with problems, or is there office hours for those people to deal with Chromebooks? Or it's just in the middle of lessons, like here comes another little boy, here comes another little girl, like,
It varies school to school. Some
No, I
have-
mean, like, even that in itself, I can't imagine people coming in with a question and a problem, and I'm trying to check out books and teach a lesson, and so maybe there's things that we can do that doesn't.
The TRT is usually not teaching a class, so they're,
Oh, no, I'm talking about librarians.
yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
It varies school to school.
So maybe we just need to ask which schools are putting all these tasks on the librarians and deal with them individually. Is that what we might need to do?
There's 14 librarians that have entered tickets, so I can tell you there are
Schools they
14
are.
schools that have a librarian. Everybody else is using other staff.
Resources.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe that's the real issue here. It's not a parish-wide problem, it's school-specific. I don't know. I've only heard from like 4 librarians, but I do know just from experience that we don't want to lose them. We know this. And we also don't want to hire new librarians and take them out of our classrooms because we're short there. So we've got to find some kind of creative solution.
And I
That's my
think
opinion.
what's happened, Ms. Lamy, is that they just need help. I mean, administration needs help.
Right,
And
everywhere. I get it.
the librarians are so good with Destiny, and that's where everything is inventoried.
Right.
Textbooks and the Chromebooks go through. That's how we know who's got what in that, and they're the keepers of Destiny for the most part.
Right.
So as a high school principal, I relied on my librarian very heavily for those kind
Those
of things.
things. And I know that it just keeps growing. And I know this is something Ms. Hurst just mentioned. I hope she don't steal her thunder. But she just was saying, like, what if, like how we have the teaching academy, right? And kids go in from the high schools and they shadow a teacher. What if we had something to do with library or tech and they came in? I gave you the glory, sister. I just have to talk. All right. So, so I'm just saying, like, they could come in and their job could be like to be trained in something simple enough, but like, I don't know, just a thought, or community hours even. Like maybe it could be, I don't know. I'm just throwing this stuff out there because they need help. So we got to figure out something.
Ms. Fauntleroy.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. So what I've heard is this is very complicated. And I think we're throwing around a lot of really good ideas. And I think we see that there is a problem with the way duties are being assigned. And I think we have a lot of ideas on how to fix it. But I don't know that this is the best forum for figuring out the best solution. So what I would like to do or propose is that we table this motion and form some sort of committee to sit down and try to come up with a solution to bring back and present on what is the best job class to hire and what's the best job description to meet this need of getting the burden off of the librarians, but addressing it consistently at all of our schools. I just think we're going to end up talking in circles for a couple of hours and still not have our best solution. And if we could sit down with the people that have the information, form a plan, and then come back and present it after we've thought it through, we hopefully would have the best solution.
Excuse me. Before I move on to the next one in line, I will invite you to make a motion to table it.
Okay, I
Otherwise,
did.
we'll just keep going.
I would like to make a motion to table this. I would like to make a motion to table our motion on librarian support until, and form a committee to look into it. And I would say report back. I know, what would June be early enough to make budgeting deadlines?
Yes, that would be
June would be?
early enough, but can I just stress that the budget, we're being severely impacted by inflation daily on our budget and general fund. So if this is added and we're not balanced, the money's going to have to come from somewhere else, be removed from some other line, so to cover this. So we just need to bear that in mind.
And so.
Until we get the whole budget finished, because our revenues are pretty much not growing at this point.
Right.
We took a $600,000 cut in state funding.
So
Yeah,
for us to just vote tonight, though, to throw 1.1 million or 700,000 into the budget,
we need to analyze.
Yeah, we
and
need
see if
to-
we can create efficiencies in the actual job duties at the different schools. I think we did that in 2011. They looked at every job, and through attrition, they realized they could consolidate jobs, and we were able to cut 20 million off the budget in payroll by doing that. So I think that's the first place you should look, is look for efficiencies in the different positions and maybe spread the duties around first. Yeah.
You're seconding? So the motion on the floor right now is to table the motion to hire 25 librarian aides.
Sure.
Seconded.
And I hated to make the motion. I tried to cancel my request and put my name at the end of the line, but it wouldn't let me. I pressed cancel a million times and it still didn't work.
Microphone, please.
Yes, I want to help the librarians as much as we can, okay, within budget and whatever we can do. But I need to know all the facts. And what we have here tonight is we're just kind of like grabbing at straw.
Right.
So if you all would just bring all information to us along with duties, and we can compare those things, and that would help out a lot. I got that. So I second that motion, but I'd like to add that to your motion. Thank you.
I'll third that motion, but if I don't get to say what I have to say, I'm literally going to explode. Okay, I'm just saying, I have brilliance.
Before you explode.
Yes, I have brilliance. I need
like
to get out. Okay.
I would like for someone to tell me whether a motion to table is debatable or not. That's what I thought. So with it not being debatable, we're not supposed to be discussing anything other than voting on the tabling motion. I will, because we don't strictly follow Robert rules, I will allow you to comment.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. We have wonderful seniors in high school. Could we not have them help out with checking in and checking out Chromebooks? I'm just making a suggestion. This is free help. I am tight. My grandfather used to say you could oil me and I would still squeak. This is free labor that we could have. Could we not have some straight A honor students to get some extra service hours? Or if we could grab an intern that wants to be a teacher from a college. Terry, I'm sure you would love something that's free, right? Would that not help budget?
You're going to have privacy issues because they will see all the fines and all of the demographic data of the students within Destiny.
Really? So they can't do anything administrative? I mean, would that help out anything?
Yeah, that's the thing, they could help out, absolutely. But I think where we're seeing more problems is elementary, middle, junior high, where those kids aren't available.
Yeah, but it would help. Please don't rain on my parade. So, okay, high school. Yes, this is a good idea. Thank you, Michelle. No, okay. Right. Yeah. Well, what about interns? What about interns for college, for teachers? Yeah, so I mean, maybe they could get college credits or something.
And the
Okay, thank
discussion
you.
that doesn't exist. We will now vote on the motion to table the original motion.
I'll vote on it, because otherwise they're not going to pass it.
The motion to table it passes, 13 yeas, 1 nay. And that concludes, oh, wait. Oh, yeah. That concludes the regular business. We will now move on to 3-minute comments from the public. And who is on first? Do we have any three? Here it is.
It's going to be negative.
Mr. Osborne.
Yes, there will be.
Thank you, board members. I agree there that that was a prudent thing to do. Obviously, a lot of ins and outs. To give a little bit of a sense of urgency, though, to bring this matter to a close one way or the other moving forward. 2 of the members of my library action committee have left the system because they didn't think there would be any change despite their efforts. And so just keep that in mind. We don't necessarily want to lose teachers like y'all are saying, but we are going to have to fill some library positions. And usually that's attrition proof until that person has had a long career. I mean, generally librarians, they're in that place they love, and it's just changed so much they've left. I did want to point out something Mr. Broom mentioned during the safety and security meeting. He talked in his remarks at the end about the culture of reprisals. And I did want to say, I begged librarians to come tonight. And some legitimately had some other commitments. But the vast majority were terrified to come out here and speak to y'all for fear of reprisals. And so I'm committed to changing that. I know Superintendent Jabby is committed to changing that. It's going to take time. But I think one thing we need to do is just say, what does a reprisal look like in a school system, okay? Our last survey that we put out on workplace culture, it had a section that basically is an example of reprisals, and you can look at that. Now, fortunately, 47% of the respondents said they had never seen anything or experienced anything like that in our district. But the sad part is that means over half have experienced some type of reprisal or, if you want to call it negative supervisory tactics, however you want to say that. But we've got to clean that up. So I think, again, if we kind of like maybe even create a policy on what this looks like so we can move toward more positive ways to, sometimes employees, they're emotional and they may say things in a way it pierces you and rankles you even. It happens to me. But they have a truth that we need to hear. And, we want everybody to be professional even when they're emotional. But we definitely don't want them to be punished in some kind of subversive way that's going to dissuade other people from speaking the truth. And Dr. Peterson said it. Communication is what's going to move this thing forward. And look, these librarians are wonderful people, and I think everybody in this room is working toward making this system better. I don't have any question in my mind. But let's please keep that in mind. That is a reason why librarians were not here. Now, they will probably volunteer for any committee y'all want to put together, and certainly I'll do whatever you want me to do to help facilitate that. But I just wanted to leave that with you as an area of growth for our district. I really appreciate everybody in this room. Thank you.
Next speaker, Sherry Kotor.
Good evening.
Kotora.
Thank you. I'll get it wrong next time.
Superintendent, Mr. President. My name is Sherry Kotora. Most of y'all sitting here today do not know who I am. That's probably a good thing. Hello, Miss Lammy. I'm never here for a good reason. I am an advocate in this parish. I have been advocating in this parish for 20 years. I have been advocating across the entire state for 25 years. When I come to you all, it's usually because there's a problem. That's no exception today. So I have someone that I'm advocating for who happens to be someone with a disability. I'm also going to request in advance that y'all accommodate my disability and allow me extra time. So this client of mine has disabilities. Why does a parent have to bring confidential medical information to a school to get the process started? That's ridiculous. In fact, it violates what the U.S. Department of Education says needs to happen. I'm sure y'all do not want me to bore y'all with that, but I encourage you to look it up because you are bound by law to provide services. You are bound by law to provide whatever accommodations that child needs to be successful in this district. That is not up for debate. I don't understand why we're still here, though. Is there something that we, the parents, need to come with you all so that we can get a smoother process? This parent notified the school last year. Here we are, 4 weeks left of school, and this parent is still trying to get 504 accommodations. Now, just 504 accommodations. Let's not address that this child qualifies for a full IEP with an FBA and all of that, which would cost the district a lot more money to accommodate. This parent is only asking for a 504. Well, as a result of this child's disability not being acknowledged and identified, this child missed some school, is now looking at summer school, because we can go all the way back to December and see where the school didn't even excuse an absence of when this child was at the doctor. What do we need to do? I thought that this was a pretty well outlined process in order to get our children evaluated. And as a self-advocate with 3 disabilities, I can't tell you how appalled I am. Now, usually people with disabilities don't look like me, they don't talk like me, and they don't sound like me. Why is it that they must talk like me, look like me, and sound like me to be heard? This is unacceptable. We are the richest district in this state. Why are we not accommodating our most at-risk population? If anyone wants to answer that, you all received an email prior to this meeting. It is from the parent, it is not from me. I encourage you all to read that email because it does detail everything that's going on with this child. And if somebody has a resolution, y'all all know how to get in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Barbara Sharp.
Barbara Sharp, bus driver. Sometimes it's important to relook at the surroundings and take an inventory of what is working and what changes need to be made, if any. New practices are not always solution to current problems. Sometimes what was previously used was better. Open your eyes and relook. It should not be difficult to see when something is not working. Is the work environment improving? Are there still significant employee shortages? What are the expectations for more retirees and resigns? Has the current policy resulted in a positive change? Our new board members are an example of the new look, correct problems with new ideas, or reinforce things that are beneficial and working as expected. The transportation hiring fair is an example of something that is not working. Do you have a hiring fair for all of your support positions? No, because when a position needs to be filled or someone qualified is available, why wait? How and why would a qualified available driver be willing to wait until August to get a permanent driving position? They won't. Other jobs are out there that offer benefits, holidays, and substantial pay difference. The bus driver also has lots of negative side to it: lack of student discipline, lack of sufficient staff that creates difficult driving conditions, and lack of consistency. The split schedule, which prohibits the ability to have a second necessary job, but most importantly, a safe and supportive working environment. It is past time to look at the transportation department. Changes need to be made that are geared to actions that increase the number of bus drivers and increase retention of those that are currently there. The goal of 225 bus fleet is not sufficient to service the children in this parish. What are you doing to retain what you currently have that is also necessary to provide this service? It is obvious that the system has been unable to hire new drivers and maintain the current staff during the past year? What changes are being made? Time is short. Hiring fair is next week. Has a notice of the hiring fair gone to the employees in the transportation department?
Thank you. We will now move on to president announcements. High school graduations will be held May 3rd, Tuesday through Tuesday, May 9th. A list of graduation dates were mailed to the board members last week. Please contact Christy and let her know which graduations you will be attending. The May committee as a whole meeting will be held on Thursday, May 11th at 6:00 p.m. and it will be back in Covington. After this meeting, we will have an executive session has been requested pursuant to LRS 4217 to discuss the following matters. I don't really need to list them out here, do I?
No, but we need a motion to go into executive.
All right, so that concludes the session tonight, and we will go into executive session as soon as people are allowed to leave.